go.
Rise and shine, it's a brand new day. Ken can take the stage, ready to play. Weekdays at 10, the cars and the scene. Coffee in hand, they're living the dream. Question in the voice, got the whole town awake. Bringing fire to the mic, make no mistake. Shows in the corner, spitting out facts. Dropping truth bombs, ain't holding back. Ken in the morning, feel the heat. From 10 a.m. CST, can take a seat. Live and love that break in the mind. Light up your speakers, crank up the sound. They're talking about life upside down. Opinions exploding like a sonic blast. In the studio, they're built to last. With passion and grit, they engage and ignite. Every single week, they're a force can't fight. From sports to politics.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Ken and Ken in the Morning. It is Wednesday, which makes it Hump Day. And of course, we're now officially in the week 16. Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Broski.
Morning, Ken. Good morning, Ken.
Hey, good morning there, broski.
So, I want to start off this morning by saying I want to put this, I want to try to be as non-controversial as possible. The disrespect is freaking real. That's what I'm going to say. What the hell? ESPN Analytics, matchup predictor. Green Bay, 59.2% chance of winning. Chicago, 40.4%. Vegas odds makers make the Bears 1.5 point underdogs at home against a Green Bay team that barely beat the Bears 2 weeks ago. Now do not have Micah Parsons, probably won't have Watson, are missing their other defensive stud. Their other tight end, who is supposed to save their tight end room, is also hurt. Oh, yeah, and their best lineman is hurt, not playing. Yeah, the disrespect is real.
Yeah, but it looks like Watson is going to play from what I'm hearing.
Oh, he's going to sack Caleb Williams so many times. No, he's not. He's a wide receiver. That has to be what Vegas is thinking. Well, Watson's going to play, so therefore, if Watson's playing, forget this Micah Parsons guy. He must have been worthless to Green Bay because, we'll give them better odds of winning this time in Chicago than we gave them to win at home against Chicago. Because obviously Watson's better than Micah Parsons. It means more to the team than Micah Parsons could ever mean. Because Micah Parsons is a trash defender, obviously, according to Vegas and ESPN Analytics. I'm just saying.
How long were you waiting to get that one out? That seems like a little bit of pent-up frustration there, buddy.
It's been brewing since yesterday morning. Yeah. I don't get it. Look,
let it out, Ken. Let it out.
If you look at last week's game, okay,
it's the beginning of the healing process. Let it out.
Yeah. If you look at the game 2 weeks ago, okay, even with Micah, that came down to the last play of the game, right? So Vegas would rightfully give you the 3 points at home, being the home team. Bears should have been 3-point dogs going in, right? Fair enough, right? Now you get to a game where you have no Micah. You have your offensive line is even further degraded. Your offensive weaponry is even further degraded. Your defense, not only are you missing Micah, but you got some other injuries. Because now, as I'm hearing out Packer fans talk, we're the walking wounded. We're the most injured team in the NFL. Blah, 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 blah. ESPN and Vegas say, yeah, whatever. You're going to beat a 10-win team that just beat the snot out of someone last week, and compared to you is damn healthy. And, oh, by the way, has the number one rushing offense in the NFL, has the best offense in the NFL since week 4. His defense has the most takeaways in the league. Yeah, you're going to beat them at home. Yeah. Okay. At their home, not your home. Really?
What I think is playing into some of this is two main things, right? So you got to look at the Bears injuries as well, which Rome Odunze we know is going to be out. Luther Burden and Cole Kmet might also be out. Okay. And then you have to look at, how have the Bears done against the Packers in the last 12, 13 games? They've won 1. So I think that's all playing into it.
Look, if you want to make money this week, bet against Vegas. because Vegas is fucking stupid this week. Because,
Well-
bro, you're probably right. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's like they're giving zero respect to what's happened this year, right? If Roma's out for the Bears, that's not as big of a deal as Micah Parsons being out. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
love Roma Dunze, but which one's more impactful on their current team, Roma Dunze or Micah Parsons?
Right. But you also have to take, I mean, to me, it's like I wouldn't put any money on this game until I saw like the final injury report, because if Luther Burden and Komet are out as well, that's trouble. That's a problem.
It's still not as much as I'm not. It's still not as impactful as Micah being out, honestly. Because you know what? We've got Zach Ayes, we've got Jahadi Walker, who we haven't seen much this season, but he's there. We've got Duvernay, who they've used. You still have DJ Moore. You still got Colson Loveland. You still got the Bash. You know, you still got your running back. You still have Caleb, right? I mean, Micah Parsons wrecks games. He's gone. Their offensive line, they've just lost their best offensive lineman, Zach Tom, who I happen to really like.
Is
He
Tom
is
out this
gone.
week? Is that a definite or?
It is not a definite. It could be. It's most likely.
Okay.
But they haven't
Well, that's big news too. I mean, it is.
You know what this reminds me of? You know that scene. You guys have seen the original Godfather, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know when Michael Corleone wants to gun down Salazzo and the police captain, and then Sonny tells him, he's like, "Tom, this is business, and this man is taking this very, very personal." That's what I'm hearing right now.
Yeah,
Man is
that's
taking
a
this
good one,
very,
Joe.
very
Joe, that's
personal.
funny. That's
I
great.
mean, it's just if you're going to make the Bears underdogs to a team behind them in the standings who are without one of the best players in the NFL, right? I just don't get. I mean, look at if you think it's dead even, then make it Bears 3. That's just saying you're giving the field goal because they're a home team, but you think it's a dead even game. Like I can live with that, but to make the Bears the dogs at home, I mean, on the other hand, keep doing it, Vegas. Be stupid. Give them more bulletin board material, right? And then with Packer fans running around screaming, "We're the most wounded team in the NFL, and yet we're still the favorites because you suck." Give them more bulletin board material, please do. And then when you get your asses handed to you this weekend, right? Then don't come crying about, "Oh, we were hurt. Oh, but Micah didn't play."
This sounds like great bulletin board material. If Green Bay wins, that holy shit, you couldn't even beat the depleted Packers
I
team.
get that, and the inverse is obviously true there. Like if the
that
Packers
that
win,
that Bears
it's
hype
like-
train might not have as much steam under it as thought.
But you know what though? If for some weird reason the Packers win this game, right? If they do win without Micah and all this, and Bears fans can look at the team and go, "Dude, what's the Tango Foxtrot, dude? Like, really?" I mean, they can look at it and like, I mean, look, we're playing with house money, but still, it's like, dude, really? You lost to them without Micah? Bears fans already will have enough reason to be livid if the Bears lose this weekend. But the fact that, like, Vegas and ESPN and the Bears are underdogs at home against a team that barely escaped to beat them in Green Bay 2 weeks ago. And now, by the way, they're without Micah Parsons, their best player on their team, outside of a guy named Jordan Love. It is kind of like, huh? Are you smoking something? Like, I can see you saying, "Hey, it's a coin flip. 3 points to the home team because, well, that's what home teams gets the field goal." Cool. I could see that. That would make I could live with that even. Like, okay, you're still not sure, but you lose Micah Parsons and you're still the favorite. Yeah, no, I'm not. That doesn't sit well. That's a total lack of respect. That's total disrespect to Ben Johnson and that team. It really is.
I'm sure Ben Johnson is highlighting that to the team right now, but it's one of those things too, man. I mean, until you get over the hump, until you prove it, Vegas is big on trends and stuff too, man. So the Bears just got to go out there and get it done, man. Like, no excuses. Just go out there and get over that hump, and things will change.
And Luca, I called that the day it happened. I said, "No, watch, Packer fans are going to mitigate how important Micah is," and not like Ken hasn't done it because he's laughing there. But dude, I've seen it too. Oh, he wasn't that important. Oh, he wasn't that. Like, dude, he was your fucking defense. He was very
Oh, okay. He wasn't the whole defense. He was a major part of it, absolutely. But he
a
was not the whole.
major part of it because he made everyone on that defensive line.
And he made
better than
everybody play better. That's
Yeah.
let's go ahead and like he was the facilitator of. In fact, he was the linchpin of your defense, shall we say?
I might give you the linchpin just for how much he meant to the team, but you can't sit there and act like Xavier McKinney,
No,
Edgerrin Cooper,
like,
and Trey Walker weren't
but
beasts
you know what?
before he got there.
No, they were beasts before he got there. What I'm saying, linchpin doesn't mean that he's the only player. It just means that they
The key player?
tailored the entire defense to run around him with his stunts and his blitzes and everything like that. Like
Yeah,
the
that I can
whole-
absolutely agree with.
Yeah, once Micah became a Packer, Hafley was like, "Oh, finally! Like I got somebody I can like do this stuff that I've been wanting to do with," and it made everybody around him better. So that's my point is about the linchpin. But what happens when you pull the linchpin? Right, you still have some players, but that defense to act like that defense is going to be the same without Micah.
It's not going to be the same. But I'm saying it's definitely not going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
Yeah,
You're not going to go
what
from
Hafley
first to
did-
last.
Yeah, look what
Hafley's
Hafley did with the
good.
same guys last year. So
Well,
you
and-
got to assume he's going to get them
But no,
at
you
least
don't gotta assume
respectable.
anything because he doesn't have the same guys he had last year. He doesn't have Clark in the middle anymore. He's got less than a week. Well, I mean, look, it's a short week by 1 day. So, like, being that it's a short week, no, not really. The 1 day, they're still going to do a walk because the game's so close. They're still doing your walk through Friday morning. Then they're getting on the bus and take the 6 hour drive, however long the drive is from Green Bay to Chicago, and the bus on down, stay at the hotel. So it's going to cost them a half a day of walkthrough. Okay. Look at and last year there is precedence. Last year, division game actually, right after Hutchinson got hurt, we were all like, oh, Detroit, I don't know, and yet they went to Minnesota and their defense killed without Hutchinson last year in that first game. So there is precedence, right? There is precedence for them having a good year. They've got a good defensive coordinator. However, I think the difference between Hutch last year and Micah this year is what Joe said. Hutch was not the linchpin of that defense. He was a very big cog of that defense. He did a lot of things, but he wasn't the linchpin of that defense. Whereas Micah
Who on that
is.
defensive line does anything besides Hutch?
Yeah, but that linchpin is it's different. It's like a linchpin is what holds everything. It's what you base everything around or build everything off of, right? Like it's the pin that holds everything together, dude. And like Hutch, as great of a player as he is, they don't design the whole Detroit defense around the things that they can do with him. Whereas with Green Bay, a lot of your defense, what you do defensively is around, okay, we're gonna move these guys so that we can get Micah in on a stunt here, or we're gonna shift Micah over here and we're gonna blitz him from here, right? Like in the secondary, they're just like, you guys just hang back there, Micah will get the sack, don't worry about it. And if he doesn't, well, you have, like
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like in the next man up thing, you have to look at that too. And last year, Detroit had a guy step up, and okay, cool, you had a next man up, and the guy played his butt off, and we see that every now and then. The next man up, and look at the next man up for Green Bay. Obviously, he's not going to be as good as Micah Parsons, but who knows? Maybe he has a day.
I was going to say
There's always a possibility. I'm
yeah,
not going to discount that as not a possibility that the next man up couldn't, that he doesn't have the best day of his career. Like what happened in Minnesota last year with whoever the next man up was for Detroit. I don't remember right now. But, I mean, that's always a possibility too. But if you're the Vegas odds maker and you're ESPN and you're disrespecting the Bears that deeply, especially the ESPN, they didn't even make it sound close. They make it sound like the Packers are going to come in with a 60% chance of winning this game, basically, mollywop the Bears. I'm like, no, man, this is still going to be a close game. But just the amount of disrespect shown to the Bears by the national media and sports people, it's just kind of like, dude, have you guys not learned? Because you guys have been doing it all year and even last week, half the Packer fans, the Browns are going to beat up on the Bears and the Bears are going to lose and it's going to be embarrassing and they're not that good. And the Bears come out and completely destroy
yeah,
Cleveland. A team that, by the way, beat you, Green Bay, You know, so I mean, and then the
Oh, and by the
crowd-
way, they were missing a shit ton of their starters for that game.
Oh, you mean like Green Bay is this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you can,
See where I'm
if you
coming
can beat,
from here.
if you can beat up on a depleted Green Bay team, great. If you lose to them, that's going to be a hell of a thing.
I'm
He's
just
kinda
saying that.
right,
Well,
man.
according to the odds makers, I shouldn't. I look at if the odds makers are right. Okay, Green Bay has nothing to talk about if they win this week. It's like they were predicted to win. It's like whatever. You know, I mean, I just think that there's and look, it's not just the Bears. I'm going to say it's the Packers, the Lions, and the Vikings too. All four teams get disrespected nationally when they're outside of the division, right?
Mhm.
Any game that's NFC North versus whoever, the rule for them is you take who's ever not the NFC North.
Oh,
Nine times out of 10.
believe me, I get that. Because since Green Bay lost this week, oh my God, the trash talk about Jordan Love has been off the fucking charts. Well, he threw 2 interceptions. Yeah, the first one, I'll give it to you. He probably shouldn't have thrown that, but he was trying to make a play and it worked out real bad. And the second one was trying to come back and win the game. You're not
You know,
going they're not they don't mention though the absolute dimes he was throwing earlier in that game,
Ken,
especially that Jacobs
I'm
one.
happy you brought that up. Everyone's talking about, oh, Caleb's not that good. He's terrible. Drake May is awesome. Jordan Love's great. Blah, 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 blah. I give you evidence A. This is just one of many things I can bring up, but this one I just thought is another one of those interesting ones. Fewest interceptions thrown through first 31 career games with a minimum 1,000 attempts.
Wow. Derek Carr is on that list.
Yeah, Jeff Garcia is, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but Derek Carr, I didn't expect him to be because he started his career 0-10. Remember, as a rookie, like the Raiders went 0-10 before they won their first game.
That means
Look-
Caleb
look-
does a
look
good
who's on
job of
this
taking
list.
care of the ball.
Joe Burrow is on this list. Trevor Lawrence is on this list. Daniel Jones, which is kind of whoa. Bo Nix, Mo Picks Nix actually isn't that bad with the picks, I guess. He's only got 21 through his first 31 career games, but that's the thing. If you look at Nix and look at Caleb, same amount of game time, right? They both came in the league at the same time, right? Caleb has almost half as many interceptions, just over half, barely. I mean, really. But Bo Nix gets all this love, but Caleb's not good. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I wouldn't say Bo Nix gets a whole bunch of love.
he gets a whole bunch of
I
love.
hear a lot of people tearing Bo Nix apart.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just think Vegas, like, I don't know what their little predictor models are on that, this, and the other, but like maybe they forgot to tell the computer that Micah Parsons is not playing, because that's massive. I mean, look at talking yesterday about the playoff implications of this weekend. The Packers are lucky they are where they are right now because honestly, if let's say they were in a dead tie with the Lions, I'd be like, oh crap, am I getting in? They still have a 46 or 48% chance of getting in. Okay. But without Micah now, it's a very real possibility the Packers lose out.
I don't like the fact that the Bears don't have Komet and Rome this week. If I'm being honest,
Rome, I'm not as worried about. Komet, a little bit. Yeah, I would be like, okay, what's going on with that? But
why is that? I would be more worried about not having Rome because
He's the
we were
number
without
one
Rome
receiver
last
there.
week. Right now, let me see. The didn't have practices for yesterday. Where actually Komet had practiced yesterday. Tremaine Edmonds practiced yesterday. Tyson Bagent had full practice. That did not practice yesterday were Andrew Billings, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, and Aman Ogbongbemiga.
Could you repeat
Luther's
that?
got an
name for me?
ankle. It doesn't sound like it's that bad. Don't listen to the press conference. With Rome, they're just kind of figuring out, do we shut him down for a playoff run or do we need him to make the playoffs?
man, and not having Luther Burden and Rome hurts, dude. Like, and this is from
Not
an
nearly
objective.
as much as it does
objective-
what Green Bay has in their wide receiving core, though. If let's say
Yeah.
Christian doesn't play, I mean that's okay. I mean they have Dobbs. I still have DJ Moore, who's a better receiver than Dobbs, probably. I'll take that. But then I got Zach Iase, who's made a lot of big catches. He's had a couple drops this year too. I've got Jahadi Walker, who hasn't seen much playing time. Bears fans absolutely fell in love with this guy during camp in the preseason. And then I got Duvernay. Komet, let me see, Cam. The injury on Komet, they're saying, is an ankle/knee, limited practice. So, but look at with limited practice, I'm like I said, I think it's going to come down to, do we need him to play now? The limited practices. Well, Golden was on the injury report with a wrist, full practice. Okay, Josh Jacobs did not practice. I think that's just his old man day off. Marshawn Lloyd did not practice. So neither of their running backs practice. Micah Parsons, of course, is gone.
Marshawn Lloyd hasn't played all year.
Yeah, look at Zach Tom did not practice, back and knee. Lucas Van Ness did not practice with a foot injury. Christian Watson did not practice. Josh Wild did not practice. Dontavian Wicks did not practice. Evan Williams did not practice. I mean, they're missing a lot more big guys than the Bears are. Put it that way.
But here's the thing for that. Like, and again, this is from an outside. I don't have a dog in the race, right?
Right.
The Bears' big advantage against the Packers was that your wide receiver core is so much better. Like, you have more superstar type players in that wide receiving core. And now that advantage just went out the window. Like, you have DJ Moore, but the rest of your guys are second, third, like they're third receivers at best, right? Zacchaeus is a number 3.
Zacchaeus has been a starter or been in that the 4-man rotation, if you will, most of the year. So now you're looking at Duvernay, who has been used sparingly, and Jahadi Walker, who's been used even more sparingly. I get what you're saying there. And if you lose Komet, you still have Colson Loveland. You still have the number 10 overall pick in the draft. So you still got a good tight end there. I mean, and you've got another tight end in the roster. It's a good blocking tight end. But you do lose Komet as a threat as far as catching a ball. Not that we throw it to our tight ends a ton, but we have been doing it more lately. So I can understand that. But if you look at Green Bay, they've lost their best tight end. Their second tight end's been kind of like...
That's not our second tight end. That's our 4th string tight end.
That's where they're at, right?
No, Musgrave is our number 2 tight end. He's fully healthy and starting and has been ramping up. And then Fitzpatrick, the number 3, has been in the fold all year and has been doing relatively well for a number 3 tight end.
And that's where the Bears are at with their number 3 tight end. He's been doing relatively well throughout the year. Had a couple catches, right? So, like I said, I don't think that the Komet thing I'm not as worried about, because you still have Colson Loveland there. You're still okay at tight end. I get the wide receiving argument to a degree, right? But then you look at defensively, they do not have Micah Parsons. So without Micah Parsons, they're not a 9-win team right now. To me, that's the biggest piece of this whole argument. Now you don't have Micah Parsons, which means your pass rush just got significantly worse, which means now, even though if you go with following Joe's logic here, okay, your receiving core is not as good. However, you're now giving Caleb a lot more time in the pocket, or to escape the pocket and make things happen with that receiving core and that tight end core and that running back room. So you kind of negate the loss a little bit by not being able to get after Caleb, who can beat you with his arm, with his leg, right? So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't get where honestly, it'd be better to just make it a 50-50 game instead of saying, well, the Packers are the Bears are the dogs at home. No, it's more like, make the line really 0.
Well, now it's that we start making our linebackers blitz instead of dropping them all in coverage, because we haven't really blitzed for shit this year. Since
but once again, though, that favors the Bears, though. That change in defense favors the Bears.
I was gonna say that's how they played it last year with it.
Yeah, but you don't have Kenny Clark. This isn't last year. You don't have Kenny Clark in the middle anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, you look at it. I know you're gonna have to mitigate to a degree Micah Parsons being out. You're going to have to mitigate it somehow, some way. But you can't. You're not going to mitigate it enough to say that. Well, Micah not being there is not an issue. No, it's an
Well,
issue.
no shit. It's going to be an issue since he's one of the best players in the league. It's
That's what I'm
just
saying.
how much of an issue is it going to be?
Mhm.
So, like, is Vegas saying if Micah was playing, the Packers are 8-point favorites in this game?
They very well could believe it.
I would be like, dude, you're still smoking crack for a game that came down to the last play at Lambeau.
That came down to the last play to tie it. And that game would have had to have gone into overtime if they made that play.
Even if, well, no, it could have been down the last play to win it because they go for 2 and they get the 2, game's over, right? But it came down to the wire. Let's just say it that way. Maybe that makes it easier. It came down to the wire. No one ran away with that game. It came down to the wire. It was a very closely contested ball game in Green Bay. So now that's the other news. So the Bears win this week. The Steelers win this week. Guess what? The Bears are in. The Packers are 1 win from being in. I mean, that's the reality of it. And in a weird way, if I have to be the number 2 seed, who would I rather have in the playoffs, the Packers or the Lions? I'll take the Packers. Why? Because at least I get a couple weeks of break from them versus having to play the Lions the last week of the season and have to turn around and play them the very next week in the playoffs. I think that's like the worst case scenario for the Bears or any team. They have to face a team 2 weeks in a row. It's hard to beat a team 2 weeks in a row. And here's the thing with week 18. If you're still fighting for a seed, right, you're going to show some stuff because you want that week off. And then if you don't get the seed, you've shown Detroit a bunch of things and you got to play them the very next week again. What's fresh in their mind. I'd rather have a couple weeks separation between my opponent than play him 2 weeks in a row. Does that make sense? So in a weird way, I'm pulling for Green Bay to get in the playoffs and Detroit to be eliminated so that if I'm the number 2 seed, hey, at least I didn't have to see the Packers 2 weeks in a row. I only had to see them 3 times in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
At which point, Vegas will still make the Bears underdogs in this season. Even if the Bears win out, they'll still be underdogs.
Take it and run with it, man. Like, don't you remember the Eagles run when they won the Super Bowl against Tom Brady? How they were wearing those underdog masks throughout the playoffs. Like every week they were the dogs, and every week they came out and won. It's the same thing. Like you take it as a compliment and say, okay, well, they're discounting us. They don't think we can hang with the big dogs. Well, let's show them, dude.
And Fred, your comment, I completely agree with your last comment there. Without Parsons, they lose the game in Dallas. That's an easy one I can point to and say without Parsons, they lose that game. If Parsons was still in Dallas, they lose that game. Is there a couple other games that you could say maybe they lose the Giants game? Maybe. There are a couple games you can point to and say, yeah, they might have lost that game without Parsons. I mean, look, and the Packers haven't, like the Bears losses this year. We had the 2 early, then we lost to the Ravens, who are a good team with some issues this year. That game we played against them was probably one of their better games when everyone got healthy. And then we lost to the Packers. Look at the Packers have lost to. They lost to the Browns. They tied the Cowboys, who we destroyed. They lost. Was it Carolina at home?
Mm-hmm.
Carolina,
who also just beat the Rams.
I'll put Carolina kind of like with Baltimore. Okay, that's kind of a tick for tack. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying the Packers aren't good. The Packers are a good football team, but without Micah, they're not. They wouldn't be a 9-win team this year. And like I was saying before that game last week, I think that trade may have saved the GM his job. Because had he had not made that move, I think the Packers might have been a 6-win team at this point, maybe a 7-win team, right? And there would be talk right now of Goody being fired and of LaFleur being fired. And we already had some talk of LaFleur being fired at one point in the season, where even Ken was like, if we lose this game, he's got to be gone, right? So I think Micah Parsons was a career saver or a job saver, maybe not career, a job saver for at least Goody, if not Goody and LaFleur. right? So now you take him out of the equation. What's his Packers team
I
going
don't.
to look?
Yeah, I don't think Goody's job was ever on the line with that. LaFleur's, yeah, Goody. He's had too many hits during the draft and has brought in enough good free agents.
Boards and owners are fickle. Boards and because I say boards because that's what the Green Bay Packers are run by a board, not a.
Well, yeah, they're
So,
run by the board, but it's a lot of it's more the CEO Ed policy.
well, that's yeah. But the board can go to the CEO. Hey, you need to fire the guy, and then he's going to fire the guy. But and look at the CEO is kind of like the president of football operations for most teams, like Warren is for the Bears, right? So that hierarchy. The only difference between the Packers and other teams have an owner or an ownership group. The Packers have a board, which is kind of like an ownership group. I would consider the Packers board, kind of like um, the family that the now I'm brain farting their name. In Tampa Bay, it's 5, 6. How many siblings are there? Is it 6 of them? We got 6 siblings, or like in Indianapolis, the sisters, the 3 sisters own that team and run it, right? There's one of them that's more the figurehead for the group, but or like the Ricketts in Chicago, right? The Ricketts run that team, but Tom is the guy you see the most, right? So I mean, it's a minor difference, but they can get fickle. You miss the playoffs, have a bad year, and they sometimes they will move quickly. But I think maybe Ken, you might be a little more right on Goody might have survived it, but LaFleur might not. So what happens
There was
now
a
if they
chance,
lose out?
absolutely.
What happens now if they lose out and miss the playoffs? Which I think is a real possibility looking at their schedule. I mean, look at next week. Who do you guys got next week? The Ravens,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the Vikings, who are playing spoiler right now to people. If they lose out, especially losing to the Vikings, LaFleur could get fired.
I don't know if he gets fired off of that. The talk of him getting fired had to do with what was going on with the offense at the time, and now that it's turned the corner, I think that that's completely put to bed.
Yeah, I think firing him at this point, you would basically be firing him because Micah Parsons got hurt.
Yep.
I mean,
Which I don't think that
could
makes
be
sense.
that could be what saves his job too, in a weird irony of fate. Well, yeah, you lost out, missed the playoffs, but you lost Micah Parsons, so okay, but you're on the hot seat.
I don't know if you'd even say on the hot seat at that point for that.
If you have a collapse where you were in position to control your own destiny, and you lose out, and and one of the games you'd be losing would be to the Vikings, who were eliminated in Week 15 of the season before they even played Week 15. So after the Vikings had played 14 games, they were eliminated. They were eliminated before they played last week because of the Bears' win. So if they get eliminated because of the Vikings, oh yeah, he's in the hot seat. Hey, hey, you jackwagon. It's now look at here's the silver lining, right? The Lions, if they lose to Yinsner's boys this weekend, you guys really, I mean, that's throwing Green Bay another lifeline. If the Bears win this week and the Steelers win this week, Green Bay still has a lifeline. Because look at Detroit, then goes to what? Who does Detroit got next week? They don't have
I
an
don't
easy
know
game.
offhand.
Detroit's got a hard game next week too. Let me pull it up. I'll do it this way. Detroit doesn't have an easy road. They've got a hard road to climb too. They have. Come on. I hate. I swear. Next week.
It's apparently
Lions.
Steelers, Vikings, and Bears.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They got the Vikings. That's correct. Thank you. So if the Vikings win next week, then they're done, right? And you guys win. Okay, cool. If not, if you both lose the next 2 games, it legit comes down to Week 18. And if the Vikings beat you, and somehow the Bears just don't care because they already have the number 1 seed locked up or something like that, and the Lions get in, which I think is the worst case scenario, you guys miss the playoffs. Yeah, Steelers pretty much have to win out because the Ravens Well, that's an interesting division too. So we're going to be revisiting probably this Green Bay Chicago thing. It looks like odds are for Week 1 of the playoffs. It's Green Bay just made it more interesting with Micah Parsons going down, and look, they got a good defensive coordinator. I think they'll find a way. They just won't be as good defensively, which is going to create more opportunities for offense.
I'll say this though, if the Packers do manage to beat the Bears this weekend, that's it's not the end of the world for the Bears, dude. Because then you still like they're gonna have to. The Packers are gonna end up maybe playing the Bears again in the playoffs. And if you look at the NFL's historical numbers, how many teams have actually beat a team 3 times in one season? They don't.
They don't. And look, if we split the season with them, it makes the playoff game a lot more in the air. Put it that way.
But I think if the Packers win this weekend, it actually puts them in an unenviable position because now they got history against them when it comes to like now in the playoffs, the Bears have a better chance to win the game that matters, right? Like but see, the Packers are in they're in an unenviable position because they need this game to keep their playoff hopes alive, right? So they got to beat you.
We need 1 game out of the next 3.
They need one. Well, they need one, but they also need the Lions to lose too. So like if they both lose this weekend, if the Lions and the Packers lose this weekend, the Bears clinch a playoff spot, right? Then you go to the next week, Ravens Vikings. If they both lose again, now it goes to week 18, Bears Vikings. If they both lose again, right? Cool, the Packers get in by default, right? Because no one else is look. There are only 2 teams. It's a 2-dog race for that last wild card spot. There are some other weird. Well, no, if they lose out, that's it. It's just between them because everyone else. San Francisco is going to be gone. Seattle's gone. They're the only 2 teams that can get that 7th spot, realistically speaking. Like now, could they both get in? Yeah. But now you're talking scenarios where San Francisco loses out. They're the only team that really, Seattle's pretty much in with 11 wins, but is San Francisco going to lose out? That's a whole nother ball of wax. So if we just look at just this microcosm, if they both lose out, the Packers get in by default, right? If San Francisco wins 1 more game or doesn't win any more games even, and what's the
Speaking of that, can't the Lions still knock the Bears out of the playoffs if you guys lose out?
If we lose out, that's a whole nother wrinkle. We have to lose out. They have to win out. Right? So, you've got all the, it's another permutation of this. But, let's say both teams lose out there, the Packers and the Lions, right? The Packers still get in the playoffs. They still get in the playoffs because they have that half-game lead. But if the Packers lose out and the Lions win 1 game, the Lions leapfrog them and get in. If the Bears lose out and the Vikings win out, or the Packers win out, right? If the Bears lose out, the only way they miss the playoffs is if the Lions win out. Same scenario. So if the Bears lose out, then obviously that means the Lions will beat them. And then you see what I'm saying? So they just have to win 1 of the next 2 games. And they're guaranteed pretty much in.
Can I go ahead and answer Fred's question?
Yeah.
So I don't like any. If I'm picking one from the North, I think it's the Bears because they're relatively healthier. Like their injuries are not, from what I understand, long-term injuries. Like they'll get Burden and Rome and those guys back for the playoffs at least. Like the Lions don't look as strong as they did last year, obviously. Like it seems like there's just something missing. Like their offense is when it's on, it's really good, but they haven't shown enough consistency for me to think that they have a real shot at the Super Bowl. Green Bay, like they're kind of not to the same degree, but they're kind of like the Lions in that like they haven't shown they're in a position where they can make the playoffs, but they haven't shown like consistency. Like, they'll put together a couple games and then they'll lose a game like to the Panthers, like a game that everybody expects them to win. And losing Micah is huge. I don't know how long Zach Tom is going to be out, but they already lost Jenkins for the season, right? So
Jenkins is gone for the season. Zach Tom, he could possibly be good to go by Sunday, but realistically, we're looking at 1 to 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was Zach Tom. He's been fighting this injury bug since like week 7 or 8. He's been up and down a little.
Oh no! It's been since like week 2 or 3, whenever the hell we played Cleveland.
Yeah, but I mean, he actually missed time like around week 7 or 8. Like he was.
He missed time early in the year.
Okay, so
very early.
But yeah, Joe, you're right though with the Bears and the injuries. Like everyone who's on the IR or out right now is projected to be back by the playoffs.
So just based purely off of like health, I would say the Bears. I would also say the Bears have, their running game is really, really good, and that's something that translates well in the playoffs. Their defense has played, they don't have like a particularly strong pass rush, but their secondary has been playing out of their minds. They have more, and not just their secondary, really, they lead. Don't they still lead the league in takeaways?
They do, by a lot.
Their plus, their plus minus differential in giveaways, takeaways is good, which is another thing that translates well in the playoffs. But I don't know if the Super Bowl team from the NFC is going to come out of the North. Like I'm not saying it can't. I think Chicago has the best chance out of the North, but I actually think with the top of the NFC being what it is, like the Eagles are showing some chinks in the armor, I think you could end up seeing a wild card team like San Francisco or as much as I believe me, I hate the Niners with everything I am. But I think the Niners have a legitimate shot. I think the Eagles, you can never really count them out. If they're in the dance, they always seem to, play well in the playoffs. Yeah. They're like that. They're hard to kill, like you can beat them down, but they're hard to kill, dude. Like, so it's interesting, but I like the Bears' chances. If they can keep their running game going and keep that plus minus turnover differential going, I like their chances. Like, but they're going to have a tough road, man. Like,
and look at, speaking of the Rams, like,
that's not even to mention the Rams, dude. Like,
I mean, now depends how much time Devontae is going to miss, because yes, they have Puka, but if you watch Rams games at all, this is the secret sauce for them. Puka is between the 20s. Adams is the end zone guy, right? Now you switch the dynamic up, you still have Puka, but missing Devontae is going to be interesting for them. But I think Devontae, I don't think he's long term. He's been battling the hammy most of the year. But if he's ready for the playoffs, then they're good. There you go, Walter. I wouldn't bet on Brock Purdy either. In fact, last night on Driving to the Top, we had open mic, and the question was, what do they were naming quarterbacks. Do you trust this guy, or do you think this quarterback can take a team to the Super Bowl? And when Brock Purdy came, I'm like, well, look, he's been there, done that. So you'd say yes. But guys made a pretty good argument to say no. I mean, because Purdy got there not because of Purdy. So, like, if I look at the quarterbacks in the NFL playoff picture in the NFC, and I say, okay, which quarterbacks in the NFC, for example, do I think could get their team to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, there are a couple teams where I don't trust the quarterback at all. Like, if I look in the NFC, okay, Matthew Stafford, yeah, he can do it. Caleb, yes. Hurts, yes. Baker, yes. Love, yes. Now I go to Seattle and San Francisco, and they're starting 2 quarterbacks. And I don't think I trust either of them to say, yeah, they can take their team to.
I would trust. I would say I'd trust Sam Darnold more than Brock Purdy, but I'm not
based on last year's playoff performance.
I wouldn't personally hang my hat on either one of them, but I think
But
Sam
those
Darnold,
are
I think he has more physical gifts. That's why I'd put
than
it more
Purdy.
towards him. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
but
actually
still, I mean,
think
look
I
at
would put Jalen Hurts in the other list. Like I don't think Jalen Hurts did not get them to the Super Bowl last year. Like
yeah, but he
Saquon
did 2
Barkley
years
got them to the Super Bowl.
3
Like
3 years ago, though, he did. So he's done it not once but twice. So I got to give him some deference there because
okay.
he has a history of getting there. Purdy has been there once, but that was a much different offensive team than what it is now, and they're still riding CMC in. But if I look at if I had to give the quarterback the ball and say win me the game, the only two quarterbacks, and you're right, maybe Jalen Hurts does deserve to be on that list, but definitely those last two, I'm like, nope, I don't feel confident that all the pressure's on, give them the ball, and they're going to win you the game. All those other quarterbacks I mentioned, I think can still drive you down the field and win the game in the pressure situation. I think they've all shown it this year that they
I
can
got a
come
spicy
back.
one for you. If I was the
What?
Niners, I might actually consider starting Mac Jones for the playoffs.
Yeah, Joe, I think that's what I would do. Because I like Mac Jones running that offense a little more than I do Purdy.
Me too. I think Mac Jones found what every NFL quarterback looks for, a system that suits him perfectly and takes advantage of his strengths and masks his weaknesses, dude. I think Mac Jones I think Mac Jones has outplayed Brock Purdy this season, and it's not even close.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Purdy's got that high price tag on him. So Mac Jones has to blow him out of the water to supplant him.
Well, you know what? This will be interesting because this week we get Seattle at the Rams. That's gonna be an interesting game. Then they get the Falcons and they get Cardinals. I mean, the Rams have a pretty easy schedule. Um, when it comes to San Francisco, their schedule. Well, we knew they got the Bears next week, so that becomes a big game. For a lot of different reasons. One, because the Bears, if they win that game, they have the tiebreaker that could move them up. But they got the Colts, the Bears, and the Hawks. Man. So San Francisco, if Old Man Rivers wins this week, San Francisco could be in some trouble.
Yeah. But if the Bears weak, then they really need that game against San Francisco.
Yeah,
It's going to put a lot of pressure.
If the Bears win this week, this is how crazy the NFC get. The NFC is simple, but it's complex. It's simple in terms of the 7 teams I'll probably get in. There's not much argument there, right? It's either Carolina or Tampa, whoever wins the division, and then it's either Detroit or Green Bay for the final wild card. That's the way it looks right now. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? If the Bears win this week, the Rams lose to the Seahawks, so that's for for division title there, so to speak. And San Francisco somehow gets beat by the Colts. That the whole division gets interesting, and the Bears move into the number 1 spot, right? Which is crazy to think of that we're at week 16. We're talking the possibility of the Bears being the number 1 seed. The fact that the number 2 seed is kind of like mind blowing to me, to be honest. But the weird scenarios you get here just go out there. They just get crazy. And Old Man Rivers, I mean, he didn't look bad. Does he have a chance against Seattle?
Against Seattle,
No,
I like-
against the Niners, you mean? Because they played Seattle last week.
Or I'm sorry, against the Niners. Yeah, and it's in San Francisco.
Okay, then yeah, actually, I'm giving him a shot because you seen how close Indy played the Seahawks this week. Because yeah, I forgot it was the Seahawks that they played, but yeah, with them being that close, I give them a shot against the 49ers.
Yeah, the Rams get Seattle. Is that game in Seattle? I believe. Let's see, it is at Seattle. So there's still a lot of interesting things. Oh, and it gets even better because obviously the Bears Packers reflects to the primetime game this week. The Bears next week against the Niners. Yeah, that's a primetime game. That's Sunday Night Football in America. And does anyone want to bet on what the game that's going to be flexed on the final week of the season is going to be? It's either going to be Packers Vikings or the NFC. It's either going to be Packers Vikings or Bears Lions, depending on how that situation.
Don't the Ravens and Steelers play week 18 though?
I think so.
They do.
Yeah,
I think that game could get flexed if it's for the division.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you still have what's going on in the AFC South too, because those guys are all real tight to each other.
And the NFC South because you got the you got the Bucks and the Panthers and their thing going on. So, but I want to say flexed. I mean, you could have something like they're not going to be noon starts. You could get like the Packers game at noon and the Bears game at 3:25, and then get the Ravens Steelers at Sunday Night Football. Like, what a great day of football.
Yeah.
Personally, I would like to see the NFC North games that final Sunday all be noon starts.
I don't think the Bears are scared of Dan Campbell week 18.
No. It's probably more of the other way around.
And to answer the question earlier, I don't think Brock Purdy's done in San Francisco. His contract makes him not tradable and not cuttable. So he's their quarterback, like it or not, for the next couple years.
Jones could end up in Indy because, Indiana Jones is going to miss a significant part of next season. So you might end up with Jones and Jones in Indy. That's an interesting.
I just don't know. I don't know that I like that pairing though. Like, I mean, you see what the coach in Indianapolis did with Danny Dimes, right? So there's hope there. But if I'm Mac Jones, I'm thinking, dude, I've never had as much success in my career as I did here. Like, I might just consider taking less money and staying for 1 or 2 years and letting Purdy, be the starter and playing himself out of a job, and then eventually, like, I'll get that contract.
Yeah, but you could be a starter in Indianapolis today and make starter money.
I understand that, but I'm saying, like, if you're looking at your career trajectory, like, if he's a patient man, if Mac Jones is a guy who sees an opportunity, like, and not just the opportunity to go start somewhere else where it's a completely different system and completely different players, like what he has here is working, is what I'm saying.
The quarterback carousel is going to be interesting this offseason because I think there's only really 2 teams in the top 10 draft picks who want quarterbacks. And Arch Manning just said, hey, I'm staying another year in college. So those reports that we all discounted early on because it was whoever said it, ends up being right. He's going to stay in college. But if you look at the only 2 teams that need a quarterback in the top 10 picks this year, it's Vegas and the Jets. And I'm sorry, but who wants to go to either of those ball clubs if you're Arch Manning? If you're Arch Manning, that's the wrong New York team, and I don't think he wants to be in Vegas. So the carousel is going to be interesting. Indianapolis needs a quarterback due to injury. After that, though, the carousel, I mean, I think everyone else is pretty much standing pat.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts make a move, though. Like, maybe they decided, there's a couple of quarterbacks that could go in the first round in this draft. Maybe the Colts, even though they have a lower draft pick, they might just package something and move up and go take a guy like Dante Moore or Ty Simpson.
Yeah, Fred, no. They're not going to move on from JJ. I mean, we're saying that, look at it, as opposing teams fans, we're like, they need a quarterback, but they believe in JJ. And I'm not going to say they're not going to draft a quarterback, but they're not going to spend a first-round pick on a quarterback.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think it was Fred's point that they're not moving on from him. I think it was just his points that they do need a quarterback.
Well, that's what we say as fans of not being fans of the Vikings. But honestly,
I know a lot of Vikings fans that are not sold on him whatsoever.
Because he's the number one. He's their number 1 pick. He's their first-round pick, and he's an early first-round pick. They're going to give him at least 1 more year. And this draft class, for where the Vikings are going to be picking, I think they'll run another year with 9 and see what goes on with that.
You said I hope they stick with ass cheeks. Oh my god!
You know what's funny about Arch Manning? Another little weird piece of trivia: if Arch Manning goes in the first round when he comes out, He'll be the fourth Manning to get drafted as a quarterback in the first round. Is that crazy? What a family that Manning family is. Oh, and there's another Manning coming down the pipeline. Yeah, Peyton's son is the next one.
God.
And he is looking, and he's already generating buzz.
We heard that about Arch Manning too, and look how this season of college went for him.
Well, actually, Ken, if you're, I don't know if you watched the end of the season. Like he had a rough start to the season, but Arch finished really strong.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, he finished pretty good. Texas ended up 10-2 or 10-3. You know, they were just outside the playoffs. And so I think it's a good decision for him to come back to college next year, sharpen his game a little bit more. I think next year he'll be in the Heisman running, dude.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't pay attention to the end of the season. I just remember from the beginning and about.
Yeah, it was a lot of meh, but now, like towards the end of the season, Arch he picked it up. He showed he can not only can he throw, but he can run for touchdowns too.
And he's the
Which
only
is something you never see a Manning do. That's
I
what
was
I'm saying.
gonna say he's got wheels.
Hey,
I
and
wouldn't say
here's-
wheels, but he's got serviceable legs, dude. Like
Okay, he can actually move and not waddle.
he can move.
He's the only college football player with the national ad campaign.
Oh God, broski, don't do that to us.
Oh, dude. His name will be hyphenated. It'll be Manning Rivers.
Broski, this one's for you. Yeah. Well, who don't the Jets ruin?
I was gonna say Yinzer's gonna take your guy away, Joe.
Eh.
And
Honestly, dude, I've said it before. I only say Fernando Mendoza, you're going to be a Raider because it looks like that's who the Raiders are looking at. But I personally would kind of rather have Ty Simpson. Like I think his processing speed is elite, and the Raiders are going to need that with a bad offensive line. Fernando Mendoza is good.
Funny if the Raiders don't take a quarterback and they just draft offensive line.
No, that would not be funny at all.
Are you trying to get Joe to jump off a bridge, man?
I mean, no, an offensive lineman would not be the worst thing in the world as a first-round pick, but I'm tired of doing the veteran quarterback shuffle. Like, I want to draft a guy and just see if he's the guy. You know, like if we bust, we bust. Okay, like plenty of quarterbacks bust.
No matter who you guys draft, they'll automatically be favorites over the Bears.
I just want to see us draft a young quarterback like the rest of the league and then use our other picks to draft offensive line. You know, second round pick, go get you a tackle. Third round pick, go get you a guard. Because the Raiders, as bad as our offensive line has been, we have three starters that are injured. Like, and two of them, JPJ and Colton Miller, are still good pieces. And then they've been starting Rodgers. Yeah.
I heard this story last year.
Well,
I think did the same thing last year coming into this year. Well, the Raiders had a lot of starters injured last year. They're going to be better this year because last year we thought they'd be good, but then all the injuries happened. Well,
hold on. To be fair, Ken, we heard that from Bears fans leading all up before this year, every year before that, and it turned around for them. It can't. It's not like it can't turn around for Joe.
No, Ken, it didn't turn around because of injuries. It turned around because we changed personnel. I mean, the offensive line is completely new for the most part. It wasn't like we had a bunch of injuries. It's been adding personnel. The problem with the Raiders, and Joe knows I like the Raiders, it's just like I don't know if we can count on these injured guys to be back. The Raiders need to do what the Bears did and what the Lions did and what the Packers did and what the Vikings did. Change personnel. It's a personnel.
Well, I think they will. The Raiders have over $100 million in cap space. I expect them to at least go out and get one offensive lineman off the free agent market, plus draft at least one, or maybe two. Like I think that they're going to. That has to be their focus this year. They're going to address the offensive line. No, I don't want Phillip Rivers on the Raiders, dude. I respect the guy, but I don't want him.
With that, we are quickly running out of time today. MMA show at 2 p.m. Central, yes?
I'm with it.
All right, MMA show at 2 p.m. Central. Don't forget House Hall report tonight at 7 p.m. Central. We'll be doing a recap of the Browns game and doing the pregame for the Packers. We'll be back here tomorrow morning. And then, yeah, here we go, guys. The fun part of the season, which I hate because it means the season's almost over. Nathan Peterman to the Raiders. Okay, Daniel, stop it. Hope you're feeling better, Danny. We'll see you guys tonight and throughout the day and tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.